to be a president. Ulijuaje Owiti yuko na watoto ndani ya tumbo?
Mimi alijua baada ya Owiti kuanguka, sanduku kabasuka na yeye akabasuka na watoto 3 wakatoka ndani yake.
Owiti ni mama ama ni mwanaume?
Ni mwanaume.
And why did you kill Washington?
Baba.
Why?
Yes. I didn't kill him.
Don't deny, please.
Nikimuuliza na niambia bila alinielezea ati hiyo ni mimba alikuwa
nani?
Mwanaume.
Sasa hata swali lile
na ni marehemu.
Wewe uliniambia mnaongea nayo.
Okay, mimi kuna siri niliambiwa na Owiti. Na hiyo siri sitakwambia hata siku moja, hata ukilifanya namna gani.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for making time to watch KBC Channel 1. This is the Lunchtime News. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission is continuing with its transgenerational conversations, and today they are in Kibra, and our very own Kamche Menza is on the ground. She shall be giving us updates on that story. We shall have that and much more during this broadcast. But first, the Kenya National Union of Teachers leadership in Nakuru County has vowed to resist any attempt by the Ministry of Health to transfer teachers from their current insurance provider, Minet, to the Social Health Authority. Speaking during the burial of a former head teacher in Rongai, Nakuru branch, NAT Secretary General Anthony Gioshe claimed that teachers lack faith in SHA, while further terming as sinister plans to enroll them into the new medical scheme. The Secretary General also advised against plans to devolve education.
Kwa sababu tunakula huko. We don't eat. In any case, wale wanakula hatuwasaidii kukula. What we are saying is this: even if not Minet, we want our cover to be independent, the way it is independent. And this time round, we are not soothing. It's not a matter of kuma, it's a matter of saying that is the truth. Rather a devil you know than an angel you don't know. We do not know what is inside the SHA. Now your SHA, you know, even policemen are there, others are there, and they are making noise. It has been whispered that people want to take us to the county, and we will not go there.
Well, Evurore member of County Assembly Duncan Mbui has ditched Rigathi Gachagwa's Democracy for Change party for Moses Kuria's Chama cha Kazi ahead of the Mbeere North Parliamentary by-election. Mbui, who has been handed a nomination certificate by Chama cha Kazi, accused DCP of attempting to kill his political ambitions and vowed to UK. Manyata Member of Parliament Gitonga Mukunji, a Gachagua ally, pledged to continue backing Mbui despite his defection.
Nikiitwa niende kwa maneno ya oathing ya clan ya Mefirika, mimi nilikataa. Nikasema maneno ya oathing ikae na nikasema lazima sisi sasa watu wa Evurori, watu wa Mpere North, watu wa Ndhiwa, watu wa Mumechi, tukatae hii aibu tunawekwa na viongozi wengine.
Not money first, not mirengos, not all those things. Mbere first. This election must be about the people of Mbere and their rightful share of development. It cannot be about all other things, must be secondary to that consideration. So my message to Mbere people, please, when it comes to 26th of November, vote for Mbere. It's not about Kivoi, it's not about Moses, it's not about Chama Chakazi, it's not about DCP and all other parties. It's about the interests of Mbere people.
Now, more than 6,000 learners in Laikipia County are set to benefit from a school feeding program aimed at boosting enrollment and academic performance. The initiative comes at a time when persistent drought and hunger have pushed many children out of school. The program is supported by International Relief for Africa and Kapu Africa, targeting children in arid and semi-arid areas who are most affected by hunger. Segera Schools Feeding Programs Director Koome Kiragu says the initiative has already increased school enrollment by 10% and aims to raise the numbers to 20% in the coming years. This financial year, the government allocated 3 billion shillings to support school feeding programs, although the Ministry of Education had proposed 7.2 billion shillings annually to cover the growing need.
We're only trying to come and complement what the government is doing and the other stakeholders in the region by supporting the school-going children with food that can help them remain in school. So we are grateful today to see all of them here today to come and receive the food.
People of goodwill to come and support this very, very needy program, and especially the children of the dry areas. Because of the feeding program that we have undertaken in the 17 schools in Laikipia, we have been able to retain children in school.
And President William Ruto on Wednesday received credentials from 8 ambassadors who will now represent their respective countries in Kenya. For the first time, the ambassadors of Slovenia and Uzbekistan also presented their credentials. The head of state authorized the envoys to pursue the interests of their countries within Kenyan territories by fostering the bonds of friendship and promoting the mutual aspirations of the people of the two nations.
Education and digital technologies. Together we can work on sustainable development and environmental protection.
This year, we celebrate 48 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mexico and Kenya. Today, we seek to deepen our cooperation in priority areas.
My appointment as the first ambassador of the Republic of Uzbekistan to Kenya marks a significant milestone in our bilateral relations, reflecting our shared commitment to a comprehensive and forward-looking partnership.
Slovenia is an export-oriented country, and its companies usually select Kenya as the first entering market in Africa due to its trustful business environment.
I, William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, by dint of Article 132(4)(b of the Constitution of Kenya, do accept your letters of credence and authorize you to pursue the interests of your country within Kenya's territory by fostering the bonds of friendship and promoting to the widest possible, within the law, the mutual aspirations of the peoples of our two nations.
Now, over 8,000 students from underprivileged communities studying in day schools have benefited from scholarship funding from the Trans Nzoia County Government's Education Bursary Fund. Speaking during the check handover to students in the wards of Kiminini, Sikendu, Makutano and Endebess, Education CEC General Nasimiyu Mutama urged the national government to rescind its decision and allow counties to fund education.
fast track the release of these funds to the school, because we are at mashinani and we are interacting with the real situation these schools are suffering. So hii basari yenye gavana amepeana, it is true inaenda kuwasaidia kidogo, but for how long? So let us kindly take this as serious as possible as the government, as the national government, to support these schools, so that hii pesa ambayo county government imepeana iwe pia tu ina supplement. So as they kick off kwa kutumia hizi pesa tumewapatia ili shule ziendelee kurun, tunaomba hizi pesa za national government ziingie.
National Parliamentary Committee on Oversight and Implementation of the Constitution is warning private developers to refrain from grabbing prison lands, warning of a legal action to be taken against them. The committee, led by the chair Karoli Omondi, during a site visit at Kilifi and Malindi prisons, undertook to initiate legal reforms to strengthen the performance of prison officers. Accompanied by Deputy Commissioner of Prisons, Nicholas Maswai, they cited the need to prioritize the welfare of prisoners to provide them with health insurance cover.
Tunaenda kubadilisha sheria vile nimesema za prison service, Boston institution, kuleta international standards na kuleta kanuni za katiba kwa hizo sheria. Hata tena tukiongea na hawa unapata hata wafanyikazi wa idara ya gereza wale wa Malindi wako Tana River, yuko ni hardship area, lakini kuna vitu hawapati. Tunataka kuangalia hizo maneno ya uniform kwa hata hawa, hata protective gear, hata maneno ya CCTV.
Residents of Keyo Ward in Trans Nzoia County have initiated an environment conservation drive to help restore degraded dams in the area through planting of indigenous tree seedlings as a stopgap measure in protecting the degraded water catchment. The exercise, supported by the County Department of Environment, is anticipated to restore the livelihoods for the local community. Exercise at Asega Dam, the County Environment Officer Joseph Muse said that the program will facilitate cooperation between the community and the Department of Natural Resources and Climate Change to restore the lost environmental glory.
We are so happy kwa sababu mheshimiwa amechukua jukumu la kuirekebisha na kuiweka sawa ili turudishe sura ya Asega Dam.
Chenye naomba mheshimiwa, wakati ameanza hii kazi, project yetu imeanza namna hii, isikuwe na mchezo na msa tena hapa, maana miti ambayo ametuletea leo kutoka county government inakuja kutusaidia kushika mmonyonyoko wa udongo.
Tuko na miti tofauti tofauti, tuko na bambu inashikilia udongo, tuko na mapera, tuko na miti za kienyeji tofauti tofauti ambazo haziwezi kudhuru mazingira. Kwa hivyo wacha tushikamane kwa pamoja, na tunapopanda hizi miti wacha tuzikuze, ndiposa baadaye napoendelea kukua tutaweza rejesha hali yetu ya kawaida.
At least 8 families in Ndhiwa, Homa Bay County have been left homeless after strong winds accompanied by heavy rainfall destroyed houses, a church and a dispensary. The incident affected the residents of Abuoro, Kombe and Manyonyi villages in East Kochieng sublocation. Local authorities have appealed to well-wishers and Homa Bay County Department of Disaster Management to assist in repairing the damages and support the displaced families.
Upepo ilikuja mbaya, iliharibu vitu zangu zote, hata ng'ombe zangu, mbuzi na kondoo, hata kuku zangu imeenda yote. Upepo ilienda naye.
We don't have any drug that we can use today. The hospital is closed. It has been swept away, and maybe just some particles you can collect. Just a remaining of some particles, but most of the things were swept away. We don't have drugs, and we are at standstill.
We made the report to various offices like disasters office, the DCC's office, and we tried our best to calm the situation. Currently, I will also take this opportunity to urge my friends, the various residents, to come as we get the help from various officers.
And county governments are exploring ways of partnering with technology providers to expand affordable internet across schools, hospitals and rural communities in the counties. Speaking in Nairobi, county leaders said digital access is no longer a luxury, but a lifeline for education, healthcare and economic opportunities. That is Joseph Kibiwot, said the company is ready to work with devolved units to roll out community Wi-Fi in rural and low-income areas, noting that the initiative could also involve jobless graduates and young hustlers as subcontractors in the distribution and installation of services. The broader goal, officials note, is to bridge the digital divide and ensure that no school or health facility, whether in remote villages or busy towns, is left disconnected.
When you look at the cornerstone of empowerment, everything has to be to leave the county governments out. And we're in a digital space to bring in solutions that will help the youth, the young ones, get employment through access to the internet, which is very reliable. And about in this case, we know very well that we have those who have graduated and have no jobs. So through Partners Kenya, they can be our subcontractors so that they get this internet to the homes.
And the metropolitans and the councils to say, how do we get the young connected? And the question is, we've got to work together. We've got to make it affordable. Yeah, it's not about coming in to be, super expensive, because that doesn't work. The government doesn't have sufficient funds to connect everybody. It's private sector working with the public sector, working through problems. We're not the only operator that's trying to solve this. Many have very strong social programs in Kenya. We're complementary. We'll be one of others, and also the others are doing great things.
Now, the National Assembly's Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library is rolling out a project to establish parliamentary corners in all libraries across the country. During a visit to the Chesongoch Library in Elgeyo Marakwet County, Committee Chairperson Daniel Nanok said the initiative will bring Parliament closer to the people by providing citizens with direct access to legislative documents and reports. The project is expected to be replicated in all counties as part of efforts to strengthen public participation and promote transparency in governance.
Kutathmini na kuona uwezekano ya counties yetu kuweza kuwa na sehemu ambaye wananchi katika counties zetu wanaweza kufikia kwa urahisi mambo yote ambayo inafanyika katika bunge la kitaifa. Lengo kuu ni kuleta bunge karibu na jamii.
And we fully support that as county governments. Whichever facilities that we have, we'll collaborate fully so that we make sure that we have parliamentary broadcasting corners in our libraries, in our digital hubs, and also in our ICT hubs, so that our people will be listening to what's happening in Parliament. They'll also get very recently passed bills, motions.
And a section of Alego Usonga constituents have expressed concern over the difference between area legislator Samuel Atandi and the Governor James Orengo that they say threatens the prospects of a planned investors meeting. Addressing the media in Siaya town, the residents led by Joram Nyanga and Francis Oduor Amolo said it was disturbing that the legislator was mobilizing the residents for a demonstration this Thursday. The same day, the governor will be meeting potential investors in preparations for the Siaya International Trade and Investment Conference.
We have an investor conference that is coming up, and in a few days we will be having investors coming here. He is planning to do a demonstration on the exact day. 11th that he's talking about is the exact day that investors are supposed to come here and sign agreement and present dummy checks to the governor.
I recently received a communication from the Vice Chancellor of Jaramogi Oginga University that they intend to close that satellite campus. Reason being that the land the satellite is sitting on belongs to the county government of Siaya. And the county government of Siaya has another program for that land. They want to build a new county headquarters in that land. Therefore, the university must give way.
Kama Mheshimiwa Tandi anataka kuleta university Siaya, Mheshimiwa Tandi yeye yuko kwa budget. Na hapo nyuma ATC tuko na prison. Hakuna kitu prison inafanya katikati ya town. Atandi atoe prison, atafute kiwanja kule Matera ama Barolengo ama aende kule Central SACCO, apeleke prison huko, achukue university aweke kwa prison.
Now, parents and guardians of children with hearing impairments in Isiolo County have expressed frustration over non-operationalization of the state-of-the-art auditory brainstem response machine at Isiolo County Referral Hospital. They say this has forced them to seek costly screening services in Nairobi. The machine that cost approximately 2 million shillings remains unused at the hospital facility for more than 3 months, allegedly due to the absence of an audiologist and the ongoing leadership wrangles in the county's executive, that is. They are now urging the county government to fast-track the functioning of its activation. The ABM is vital in the early detection of hearing loss in infants and adults.
Kwa sasa inakaa pale hospitali, imeweza kusubiriwa governor aweze ku handover ili iweze kusaidia watoto. Manake pale mbeleni mtu mmoja akiweza kuchunguzwa na hiyo machine, watu wetu wanaenda Kenyatta Hospital. Na sasa hii machine imeletwa Isiolo. There's no need for our people to travel up to Kenyatta Hospital.
Ni ombi langu kwa serikali yetu wa hii machine ambayo iko hapa Isiolo waweze kutafuta namna ama watutafutie personnel kwa hiyo mambo ili watoto wetu waweze kufanyiwa the examination ili waweze kupata faida.
Well, we have received communication from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations that have just released a statement on the shooting of lawyer Chalo Mbobu. Remember that that particular incident happened yesterday along Magadi Road, and according to the statement, DCI informs the public that immediately the incident was reported, the scene was visited by a team of detectives under the leadership of RCIO Nairobi. After securing the scene, detectives from the DCI Homicide Bureau, supported by experts from the National Forensic Laboratory, carefully examined the scene and collected critical evidence essential to the investigations. The DCI, the statement continues, is committed to ensuring that the perpetrators of this heinous act are brought to justice. The DCI says that its investigators are working diligently, employing all available resources and expertise to piece together the events and surrounding the incident. The DCI appeals for calm during this challenging time and requests the public cooperation as they work to resolve the case. The statement says, we are determined to provide the justice that lawyer Chalo Mbobu and his loved ones deserve. The DCI further appeals to anyone with information that could assist the investigations to report to the nearest police station or the Fichua Kwa DCI toll-free number, that is 0800 722 203. That is the statement from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations on the shooting of lawyer Chalo Mbobu that occurred yesterday evening. That investigations are ongoing. Of course, we shall be keeping tabs on those particular investigations and shall be bringing them to you as information is released to us. We move on to other news now. Boda operators in Machakos County are being called on to embrace civility and distance themselves from lawlessness as they go about their business of ferrying passengers from one place to another. These calls were made during a government empowerment program held in Masii, presided over by President William Ruto's aide Farouk. Electric-powered motorcycles were rolled out to the beneficiaries, even as the leaders called on critics of the empowerment program to provide better alternatives to Kenyans.
Heshima na kazi yenu, kazi ambaye inawapatia nafasi kulisha familia, kujiendesha, kujikarimu. Kazi mnayofanya ni sawa na ya Kawaya. Tofauti ni kwamba yanaenda bunge, wewe pia unaenda kazini.
Bunge ikifunguliwa katika muhula unaokuja, itapeleka mswada bungeni. Ikuwa ukiomba bodaboda hakuna kulipa mara mbili. Kama wanaongeza, waongeze 20,000, maximum 30,000. Hiyo tuweze kutetea vijana wa bodaboda katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
And in the coast region, the Mijikenda Chenda Chenda festivals held at Pwani University grounds in Kilifi County got a boost after upcountry communities residing in the area graced the occasion, showcasing their traditions. Started 4 years ago as a totally Mijikenda affair, Chenda Chenda has, however, seen the inclusion of other tribes such as Wata, Kikuyu, Luo, Luya and Kamba. Hundreds of residents and leaders led by Kilifi Governor Gideon Mungaro turned up for the festival that symbolizes unity amongst the communities living in the county. The leaders also cautioned residents against the politics of division.
Tumepata kuna kabila zingine, tumejua vile wanavaa traditional, tumeona chakula zao na mambo zao, na sisi tumekuja na vitu zetu.
Sisi kama kabila la Waluo tumealikwa na tumefurahikia sana, na tumeona ya kuwa tuko katikati yao kama wakazi wa Kilifi.
Tulikuwa na mashamba makubwa sana, tulikuwa tunaenda mbali na tunafundishwa njia halisi ya kuishi, na hasa kukaa na watoto wako, na zaidi sana tulikuwa tunafundishwa kabla watoto waje, Bwana ndio alikuwa anakuja kwanza. Kwa hivyo akisema ngwe kamote ndani kwa ndani.
And in education matters now, as the country prepares for the grade 9 to 10 transition, parents, teachers and learners have been urged to seek further training to understand the new system and avoid confusion. Speaking at the launch of a week-long seminar at the Gravity CBC Center in Nairobi, Director Duncan Arim said the program encompasses designed practical sessions to strengthen learners' weak areas and improve performance by up to 20% in pilot assessments. However, experts warned of challenges including inadequate teachers, private schools lacking resources for grade 8 and 12, and security concerns as pure boarding schools admit day scholars.
The world is not interested in how many academic papers you have, but the world is interested in how much innovations you can make to solve problems. And so one of the things that is critical about competence-based education, which is the broad base of proficiencies and competencies, is where we apply the curriculum to ensure that the human being takes the place that God has destined him to be.
The national exam that grade 9 are expecting to do, popularly known as KBC, this is a competency-based assessment. So it is an assessment that is going to assess the process, not the answer. So you realize that most of the answers, especially the multiple choice questions, are actually correct. And therefore, if the learner does not understand the process, then there's no way that learner is going to get the most appropriate answers.
And on that note, we want to take a quick break here on Lunchtime News. When we come back with my colleague Caroline Joroge, who is on the sign language interpretation, we shall be bringing you more news, including business and sports. Do stay with us.
Congratulations Jina.
Huyu ni mtoto mdogo. Uongo. Nyamaza. Wewe kusema daktari anadanganya.
Vitu zote ziko under plan. Wale wageni tulikuwa tumewalika wameconfirm attendance.
Mabibi na mabwana, sogeni tuanze shughuli yetu. Na karibuni sana.
Amelewa tena.
Dadi aliacha pombe.
Familia ya shida tupu.
Nakupenda dadi, amka tuende.
Dadi akusikii.
Amenishika.
Alinipenda akanichumbia, lakini alinioa mimi kwa sababu alikudunga mimi ndo maana akakuoa. Ndio
Koka.
Lakini baba, si wajua ya Mungu ni mengi.
Sasa wewe wafanya nini wewe? Ha?
Wajua kuwa mimbaini yako.
Waona sasa? Hivyo ndivyo ulivyotaka. Unaona sasa nini wewe? Ni mkubwa. Ibilisi.
Welcome back. You're watching Channel 1 Lunchtime News. My name is Betty Kiptum and Caroline Njoroge is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Now, a wave of sadness engulfed the Samaritan Mobile Chamber in Kapsabet Town, Kapsabet County, as the body of a 32-year-old woman who allegedly died due to doctors' negligence after childbirth at the Chepterwai hospital was received. According to the family members, both mother and child died immediately after birth, following a delay by doctors in attending to them. Activists and family members of the deceased are now calling for the transfer of health services to the central government, claiming that county governments are unable to deliver health services appropriately, despite the central government allocating funds to the health sector.
Hatujaona benefit yoyote ya devolved function ya health. Kama hiyo sekta ya health imeshinda county government, basi hii sekta irudishwe iende national government, ili resources zetu labda zitatumika vizuri ikirudi national government.
Chepterwai tukihesabu kwa Nandi County wamepotesha watu wengi sana. Kwanza upande ya maternity. Upande ya maternity imetusumbua sana upande ya Chepterwai. Huyu mama alipotesha maisha yake kufuatana na ile alifuja tamu sana wakati alijifungua. Wakuchukulia ni ya kitu ya maana.
Across borders now, Nepal's army has deployed patrols on the streets of Kathmandu as the Himalayan nation reels from the worst unrest it has seen in decades. The protests, sparked over alleged social media ban, corruption and nepotism in the South Asia country, turned into violence. Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has since resigned as politicians' homes and government buildings, including parliament, have been vandalized.
Roads. Gen Z groups reported to be spearheading the protests have distanced themselves from the destruction, saying the movement has been hijacked by unknown people. Nepal's army announced nationwide curfews until Thursday morning, warning of punishment for anyone involved in violence and vandalism. According to Nepal's army, 27 people are in police custody for involvement in violence and lootings, and 31 firearms have been recovered. The resignation of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has reportedly left a leadership vacuum, with the army vowing to restore order in Nepal.
And it's now time for business news. Creditors who had invested less than 2 million shillings in the Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperatives, that is KUSCO, have been paid off 38 million shillings after liquidation of the SACCO's assets. Weekly for Paranya, the CS of Cooperatives, says plans are underway to clear with investors who had put in less than 2 million shillings as part of stabilization plans. Plans are underway to register all SACCOs under SACCO Societies Regulatory Authority, SASRA.
We have directed the board to make sure that we had a lot of assets of KUSCO money that was put in assets. If they can sell off some of those non-core assets so that the proceeds of the sale can be used to defray some of the deposits that were passed to KUSCO. Quite substantial amount has been recovered, and in fact, small savers, some of them have been able to be paid back.
Moving on, Kenya will adopt zero-based budgeting for the financial year 2026-2027 budget for the second time after its first adoption in the 2025-2026 budgeting cycle. Parliament Budget and Appropriations Committee Chair Samuel Atandi says the current budget-making process will not include budget spikes in a bid to eliminate unnecessary spending, as well as improve efficiency and instill accountability.
2025-2026, the government announced plans to adopt a zero-based budgeting technique to streamline the management of public expenditure. And while the results of the shift are still being observed, plans are underway to replicate the process in the 2026-2027 budget cycle.
Of importance is that we have changed our budgeting process. We are as opposed to incremental budget, which used to work before. From this year, we are doing zero-based budgeting. So you explain to us the items that you want to put in the budget and you justify.
Speaking exclusively to Channel 1, Parliament Budget and Appropriations Committee Chair Samuel Atandi revealed that the budget-making process is on course, with timelines well within range for the 2026-2027 budget cycle.
I and Cabinet Secretary John Buddy, we launched the sector working group. So they are going through the country and coming up with a budget.
Zero-based budgeting came amid public scrutiny for potential misuse of national revenue through what was felt was extravagant and unnecessary spending. It requires that all proposed expenditures are justified anew for each budgeting period, starting from scratch.
There have not been any contentious issues in the budget. The only issue that has been there is, budget not meeting the constitutional requirements of equity. We have had a budgets in the past where some sections of the country are totally neglected. That we sorted out in the last budget, and it's going to continue like that.
Alan Auko, Lunchtime News.
And now we want to have an interactive session here on Lunchtime News. We want to discuss curbing insurance fraud in Kenya. And to have this conversation is William Kiama. He is the manager in charge of general insurance business at the Association of Kenya Insurers. Thank you very much for joining us. Karibu sana on set.
Thank you, Betty.
Right. Insurance fraud in Kenya. It's quite rampant and it's affecting the insurance industry. Please speak to that.
Yeah, we have had so many cases relating to fraud in Kenya, especially on insurance matters. Motor insurance is greatly affected in terms of fraud, and on a general assessment, the fraud covers, takes away like 40% of the premiums in Kenya. So it is a big problem, and there are we have to come up with several methods of trying to curb that fraud.
Right. You've just said that there are measures to curb this fraud. Speak about them and what each person's role or each stakeholder's role is. There's the role of the regulatory authority, the insurers themselves, as well as even Kenyans as the consumers. Please speak to that.
So in our view, all the stakeholders must come together so that it becomes a joint effort between the stakeholders. And we have tried to do that. And this has been done, for example, with the establishment of the Insurance Fraud Investigation Unit. This is a special unit from the DCI that helps us fight insurance fraud. We also do have other measures, that is use of technology, and I would like to speak to the measure that was taken by the association by digitizing the motor insurance certificates. Previously, when you get a motor insurance certificate, to do a verification, you would have to send that certificate to the association, who would subject it to various checks to make sure that it's a genuine certificate by use of a torch that we were using, or by use of a scanner that we were using. Currently, what we have on the ground is a certificate that was digitized, and now that certificate can be verified by any person or any member of the public can be able to do verification by themselves.
And how would they do this verification? Is there a place they can look it up? How exactly can they do that?
We have various methods of verifying that certificate. For example, if you go to the App Store, you can download an app. The app is called Bima Yangu app. That Bima Yangu app has a verification element. You can also download another app that is called Aki verification app. That is also available in the Play Store or the App Store. And once you download that, you'll see something written, verify motor insurance certificate. So you just scan the QR code of that certificate. It has a QR code on top. Once you scan that certificate, then it's going to ask you to enter the registration number of the vehicle. And once you enter the registration number, then you just click verify, then it's going to give you the results. The results in terms of which insurance company is covering that motor vehicle, for what period, and other details of the issuing company, or the company that issued that motor certificate.
Right.
There's also another method for those people who do not have a smartphone. We also have another method of verifying the certificate, and that is by dialing *352#.
Right.
That is now from this Mlikamwizi. You'll be able to enter, they request you to give you prompts in terms of enter the certificate number, enter the motor vehicle registration number, then it's going to give you the same results as you would have gotten using the scan, or using the scanning of the QR code.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we even get to the verification bit from a user's perspective, what are some of the loopholes that exist that people need to look out for to avoid being defrauded when they are purchasing insurance?
Well, there are several methods that people use in terms of trying to get insurance. One is you can visit your insurance company directly. Go to the insurance company and make your application to have your insurance. Number two, you can visit an intermediary being the agent or the broker, and then make an application for insurance. Those are the one thing that you need to know is that when you are trading with an intermediary, then you need to make sure that that person is licensed by the insurance regulatory authority. We have some intermediaries that walk around, briefcase intermediaries, trying to say that they are selling insurance, and yet they are not authorized to sell insurance. And this is basically where we now get these fraudulent insurance certificates. So it is important that you make sure you are getting it from the right source, being a licensed intermediary or directly from an insurance company. And then when you make payment, I would want to urge our viewers to make sure that you make payment directly to the insurance company, because nowadays each company has got the pay bill numbers, so you can pay electronically directly to the insurance company. I'm not saying that you don't need to go to the intermediary. You can if you choose to do so. But when you are making payment, then request for the payment details of the company. If you are paying by check, issue the check in the name of the insurance company. If you are paying by electronic means, request for the pay bill of the insurance company. Then that you make sure that you are safe, that your money has reached the insurance company. Because the several cases that we have had of fraud is cases where you have paid money to a third party and then the money is not received by the insurance company. The insurance company cannot go on risk where they have not received the payment. So it's very important that you make sure you make your payment directly to the insurance company. Yes.
And a lot of insurance purchases have now moved online. From start to finish, end to end, you can do your purchases online.
Correct.
That, of course, brings up a risk that we know that cyber crimes have really increased in Kenya. Cyber threats have been on the rise according to statistics from Communications Authority. So I would like to hear from you from an insurer's perspective. What needs to be done to ensure that even as we move online, we are still safe?
Yeah, there are several methods that the association has taken to make sure that what people are doing, the members of the public are not exposed, and that is by trying to train the members of the public themselves in terms of how to check out those insurance certificates, and also ensuring that their payments are made directly to the insurance companies. That way, that makes sure that whatever you are getting is the correct document. And again, we have also tried to tell members of the public that you need to get your policy document, have a look at it, so that then you know whether you are covered or not. Where you have an insurance certificate and you have not received your policy document, please request for it, because the policy document is the one that is showing that you are covered on this and that, on that risk. Otherwise, we have had cases of fraud again, where a person proposes to have a comprehensive insurance cover, but then they are given a third-party insurance cover, which is not correct. So it is important that even if you receive your certificate, then request to get your policy document.
Yeah, I think it's very important what you've mentioned, because the trust deficit, so to say, between consumers and the insurance industry, sometimes what you've paid for or what you think you have paid for is not what you get, but it's because you did not read the fine print, right? So at that point, do you advise people to get legal help in reading these documents, or to just read through word for word? How would you do it?
No, we have taken several measures as an association between ourselves and the Insurance Regulatory Authority, and what we have done is to come up with the standard insurance policies.
Right.
So once the policies are standardized, we know that whatever kind of policy you are going to get from company A and company B should be almost the same, rather than those special clauses that somebody requests for those additional covers. But what we have done is to standardize the policies and make them user-friendly in terms of reading. If you look at the old policies that we had and the current policies that we're having now, you'll see a very, very big difference in terms of the wording. So the wordings have been simplified, and we are still, that is an effort that will continue after some years. Then we still review the policy just to make sure that the policy is reader friendly and the customers understand the language that we are using. Previously, if you could have read an insurance policy, you'd have taken a lot of time to read the policy. But this time we have now tried to simplify the policy. If you look at the application forms now, when we have gone electronic, the proposal forms are simple and straightforward to the point.
Right. As we come to a close of this conversation, I would like you to give us your closing remarks in 30 seconds and speak to Kenyans who are watching. Staying safe, matters of insurance.
Our viewers, I would like to advise that whenever you make an application for insurance, I'm not saying we have a few people, unscrupulous people, who are defrauding members of the public. And I would advise that you make sure that you do the verification, you go to the App Store, download the verification app, make sure you verify that insurance certificate, or if you don't have a smartphone, dial the *352#, and then follow the prompt, make sure that you do the verification of that certificate. In terms of making payments, please make sure that you are paying to the insurance company, so that then you are sure that your money has been delivered to the right person.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That is William Kiama. He is the manager in charge of general insurance business at the Association of Kenya Insurance, just speaking to us about how to curb insurance fraud from an industry perspective, as well as from a personal perspective, and ensure that you verify your insurance certificates. Now we move to other news, and we go across borders, and US President Donald Trump is turning up the pressure on Europe, calling on the European Union to impose tariffs of up to 100% on China and India in a bid to force Russia to end its war in Ukraine. The demand comes as Russian strikes intensify, leaving dozens dead in Ukraine and raising concerns about the escalating conflict. Trump, who has pledged to end the war, is also expected to speak with Russian President Putin in the coming days, while continuing trade negotiations with India.
Trump's push for new tariffs targets China and India, two of the Moscow's biggest oil buyers, whose trade has helped sustain Russia's war economy. The move would mark a shift in the EU's strategy, which until now has relied mainly on sanctions rather than levies. His call comes after the heavy bombardment in Ukraine, where Russian missiles and drones struck Kyiv's main government building and killed civilians in the eastern Donbas region. Elsewhere, Syria has resumed crude oil exports for the first time in over 14 years. The Energy Ministry confirmed a shipment of 600,000 barrels of heavy crude departed from the port of Tartus in a deal with global trader Bisav Energy. Officials say the exports mark a recovery for the war-torn nation's energy industry, while experts note the revenues could help stabilize the economy and improve public services. Finally, Eurozone inflation has ticked up slightly to 2.1%, just above the European Central Bank's 2% target, according to the new Eurostat data. Core inflation held steady at 2.3%, while services inflation is to 3.1%, its lowest level since March 2022. Despite the rise in headline inflation, analysts say the ECB is unlikely to raise rates, with policymakers expected to keep borrowing costs unchanged for several months. The euro slipped against the dollar, and European stocks also opened lower on the news. Sylvia Gatti for Lunchtime News.
And in sports news now, African champions Ivory Coast moved closer to qualifying for the 2026 World Cup finals, despite drawing 0-0 with Gabon during their Group J qualifier played in Franceville. The draw leaves Ivory Coast 1 point ahead of Gabon, with 2 more matches remaining. Meanwhile, South Africa secured a valuable 1-1 draw with Nigeria in a Group C 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier at the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein on Tuesday evening.
The 1-1 result sees Bafana 6 points clear of the Super Eagles at the top of the log and in pole position to secure return to the global tournament when the final 2 rounds of qualifiers are played next month. Mohau Nkota's cross was turned in by Nigeria defender William Trustekong to hand Bafana the lead after 25 minutes. Nigeria drew level in the 44th minute through Calvin Bassey. The teams will conclude their Group C campaigns in October, with South Africa facing Zimbabwe and Rwanda, while Nigeria will tackle Lesotho and Benin. Claimed their first ever victory against Tanzania following a 1-0 win in their FIFA World Cup Group B qualifier at the Aman Stadium in Zanzibar City. Niger took the lead in the 58th minute, courtesy of a strike by Daniel Sosa. The win moved Niger to the 3rd place on 9 points, 1 adrift of 2nd place to Tanzania, and 10 behind leaders Morocco, who have already qualified for the World Cup finals. The World Cup qualifiers resume next month, with winners in each group advancing automatically to the 2026 finals in Mexico, Canada, and USA. 4 best 2nd place finishers will face off in a playoff for a chance to qualify for the finals.
And the national cadet and junior wrestling team, which amassed a total of 7 medals during the African Beach Wrestling Championship held in Casablanca, Morocco, jetted back in the country last evening. The Kenyan players collected 4 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze at the continental event. Jemima Nakumicha won gold in the 65 kg under-17 category. Masibo also won gold in the 57 kgs under-20 years category. Crowned champion in the 65 kgs under 15 years event. Won gold in the 70 kgs under 20 years category.
2018 LA, we should be having a wrestler at the Olympics. And always a journey starts from somewhere, and it must start early. So with the proper preparations, proper funding, and proper trainings, having good technical bench, that means we must be at the Olympics.
Nilicheza under 17. Competition ilikuwa poa. Nilijaribu yangu yote.
Mazoezi imekuwa poa. Tumefurahi kurudi Kenya na ushindi. Haikuwa rahisi. Preparation ya game ilikuwa hard, but tulijaribu kadri wezavyo. Hatukutaka kuaibisha makochi wetu. Tunawashukuru kwa kazi nzuri. Na pia tunafurahi.
Game imekuwa poa, tumepush, tumeweza kuwakilisha Kenya ipasavyo na tuna hope kupush hiyo game nyingine World Championship itakuwa Greece na tunaweka Mungu mbele.
Wrestling tumeenda kucheza, game imekuwa poa. Tumeplay hard. The game was hard but we tried our best. Nilikuwa nimetarget win gold but nilipata bronze, but next time tashinda gold.
Competition was tough but we tried our best. It was not easy, lakini Mungu alituwezesha tukaweza kuwa washindi.
And Cristiano Ronaldo equaled a goal-scoring record as Portugal edged past Hungary 3-2 in their 2026 World Cup qualifying match. The striker netted for the 39th time in the World Cup qualifying matches, making him the joint highest ever scorer alongside Guatemala's Carlos Ruiz and 3 ahead of Argentina's Lionel Messi.
Ronaldo's goal at the Puskás Arena on Tuesday came from the penalty spot in the 58th minute. Varga equalized for Hungary in the 84th minute and the host looked set for a point, but Joao Cancelo fired home just 2 minutes later to earn a dramatic victory. Ronaldo also scored twice in Portugal's 5-0 win over Armenia land.
They could be in trouble here, and they are. Joao Cancelo immediately.
Meanwhile, England beat Serbia 5-0 in Belgrade. England took 33 minutes to make their domination count, the goal coming from keeper Georgi Petrovic. The game was stopped shortly because Serbia fans were shining lasers at England's Ezri Konst.
It's Rashford for 5-0. Took his time, picked his spot. Petrovic.
We put a cap on Lunchtime News this afternoon. Thank you very much for your valued company from the entire team that made this possible, Caroline and Joroge, and the entire team of reporters, editors, the back-end team, their director, Mugo and Jackie, and myself, Betty Kiptum. Do have yourself a lovely afternoon and enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tumejifunza jinsi ya kumfuga mbuzi wa kisasa wa maziwa na kisha jinsi ya kuhifadhi maziwa yake.
Ni biashara kama ingine. Ya pili, it's passion. Napenda ukulima, that's why. Ya tatu, after doing much research about goat milk, that's what motivated me more.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo hapa KBC Channel 1.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside.
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday.